When I first heard how hated this movie was, I thought it was only for the broken, uncanny motion capture. After watching the movie, I can say that that is clearly not the case. There is very little to actually like about this movie, from its characters, to its story, to its production. But let's talk about the visuals right away before they get distracting. Too late. Mars Needs Moms was made by Image Movers Digital, a company known for making all of their animated films with motion capture, a technology that by all means is still in its infancy, and in my opinion, it doesn't have much use in the realm of animation. It takes more effort and more money for a worse product than simply designing a character from the ground up. The results always look creepily uncanny, even in the better productions, and it really feels like a way that companies are trying to use to sidestep creativity. In this movie, though, they've done it even worse. Our main character in this movie looks like Peter after Jumanji cursed him to look like a monkey. All of the humans look like they've gone halfway through evolution. But you know what? If we just judge the visuals of Toy Story to determine the potential of CG animation, that technology would be bad too. Even now, motion capture is still a developing technology, and as such, I'm not going to hold it against this movie too much, even though their earlier motion capture movies looked much better. Even then, there's an excuse for that. They're trying to get through the uncanny valley. Let's see how Mars Needs Moms, the biggest animated bomb, stands on its other merits. This time, the sound of the actual footage should be fine. The movie starts, appropriately enough, on Mars. There's the Mars rover examining right by the alien base. By the way, it's almost a major plot point that humans don't know about the existence of Martians. And you start with the Mars fucking rover, the first shot of the movie, and you screwed up. We see that there's actually life on Mars, but the Mars rover didn't. Some of these newborns pop out of the ground. If that's as appealing as they can make the aliens look, I'm not too sure that I want to see what the humans look like. They actually kind of remind me of Norns from an old PC game called Creatures, that for some goddamn reason doesn't have a Steam release. These guys are just a lot less appealing though. Okay, what the fuck? This is one of the most rookie mistakes that you can make. You start us off in an alien world with a language that literally no one can understand. You made it up, and you don't think to add in subtitles? Battlefield Earth had subtitles. Literally everything these aliens are saying is meaningless. I know that your main focus is your motion capture technology, but you can't just throw the story like that out completely. For some possibly explained reason, the aliens zoom in on Earth to a girl jumping around for ice cream. If her height is any indication next to her mother, she's probably in high school. She's also a spoiled brat. They come across some more mothers. And yes, it's important to the story that they're only interested in mothers, and we'll get to that later. Eventually they come across one mother who has a son just as disobedient as the others. This is going to lead to a lot of confusion later on, but it might not do that if I could actually understand what the aliens are saying. Eventually the kid does take out the trash, and the aliens love it, and they get all sinister. And as you might have guessed, this is going to lead to some morality problems down the road, and more plot confusion. This is going to be fun. We cut to our main characters. Our main character is named Milo. He gets a phone call from his overworking father. This is going to lead to many problems of various types down the road. Are you seeing a pattern here? Milo wants to go see a movie with his father, which unlike the big baseball event that's usually done with this cliche, going to the movies is easily reschedulable, and so this does not hold any weight of any kind. Also, the voice actors really don't match their age.
You didn't eat your broccoli.
Broccoli makes me barf. Besides, it looks like brains.
It might be me, but Milo sounds way too young. And this is going to sound very mean, but the mother sounds too old. Either way, they're almost as distracting as the visuals. They clearly want to show off each and every little micro-expression, but it's just too hard to look at. If you want to make a tech demo, make a tech demo, not a movie. Also, we learned that Milo is a pretty disobedient little asshole, and as you might have guessed, is going to bite this movie in the ass. A lot of things are going to bite this movie in the ass. It's almost like the beginning isn't tied to the rest of the movie at all.
I thought I told you to go to bed.
You didn't say get into bed. It's not specific.
Milo, my life would be so much better if I didn't have to be a nagging mom.
Oh, my life would be so much better if I didn't have a mom at all.
movie. I know that this kid is supposed to learn his lesson by the end of it, but that was just too damn mean-spirited. They hold on how much those words hurt, even though most mothers probably wouldn't take it to heart that much. Kids can say very stupid things. Besides that though, you've given me nothing to like at all about Milo. There needs to be something that you can gravitate to that makes him want to learn his lesson. All I know is that he's a mean-spirited kid who is disobedient. Oh yeah, he likes zombie movies. That doesn't help with anything. Every single kid on Earth is supposed to relate to this kid because he likes zombie movies. That is literally the only other facet of his personality. He gets a realization, but it's a little bit too late. He tries to apologize, but finds a glowing light right outside his mother's room. She has been abducted by aliens. Milo runs out to try and save her or something. He finds the aliens putting her in a rocket ship. Since she's moving around, it's obvious that they didn't use any anesthetic. So she's a pretty damn heavy sleeper. He attacks the rocket ship with a stick because he's an idiot and somehow gets whisked away. As the rocket ship is launched into space, the movie is more intent on showing off the animation. It doesn't help that Gmod ragdolls move more realistically. Through a technology that's never really explained, the spaceship almost teleports to Mars. It lands at a base that the Mars rover seen at the beginning of the movie never caught on to. I wouldn't complain, except that there's really no reason that the Martians would need to hide, or not be able to breathe air on their own fucking planet. It may seem small, but it's the little things like this that can really make your movie. Not helping is that what should have been an oversight is a crucial plot point later. Outside, the Martian leader sees a colorful graffiti tag on a wall that was literally just underground, and gets angry about it. She talks to one of the aliens. I don't know her name because fuck subtitles, am I right? The aliens have found Milo and do something with him. If you have to hide a twist by flat out removing what people are saying to the audience, then it should not have been a twist in the first place. This is one of the most frustrating design choices that I've ever come across. Seriously, has any other movie pulled this card? And how did they do it better? Milo wakes up in a prison ball thing and wastes some time until it opens for no reason. Do you know what gets him to panic? Not his mother being kidnapped, not being taken to an alien planet. It's the lights turning off. The fucking lights. This isn't a horror movie where there's a monster lurking in the dark. This is a science fiction movie where the aliens need light too. It's not Dead Space. When the aliens come by, a comprehensible voice tells Milo to jump down chute number 3. This gets him to land in a world of garbage. Once again, ragdolls have more realistic physics. Also, there might be irony from earlier or something. It goes nowhere and isn't really important. Eventually, Milo comes across the denizens of this place and thinks that they're zombies. I have no idea why. I guess when that's all you have to work on personality, that's what you have to go with.
I'm warning you. I know karate. Well, at least on the Wii.
Because that doesn't date this movie at all. This scene is remarkably stupid.
She's the one that feeds me. She washes my clothes. She washes my clothes. My mom, she vacuums the house.
I love that all of the ways he describes his mother has to do with chores. How do you describe your mother? She makes me food, she washes my clothes, she vacuums. And he does this 3 times in the movie in the exact same way. He really does have a low opinion of his mother, doesn't he? Once again, the scene goes nowhere, and Milo gets tied up by a machine and flies to the base of an actually human-looking individual. Yeah, for some reason they managed to get this one model right, and not uncanny at all. But they couldn't do the same for a single other character. I don't know why or how that happened. His name is Gribble. He claims to be a part of Ronald Reagan's astronaut plan to stop communism or something. And because he's been here since the 80s, he talks with a lot of outdated slang and references. It's painful when writers do this by accident. So it's very painful when they do this on purpose, in an attempt to be endearing. Immediately, there's an earthquake that isn't explained, and then Gribble shows Milo his room. Character development is not an excuse to stop the plot. Milo's mother is in danger. You have better things to do than shoot the breeze. Gribble gives Milo a belt that will center his gravity, or just make him heavier because Mars. Then Gribble does something actually useful. He gives Milo a translator. I'm sorry, but 20 minutes in is still too late if you had plot-relevant dialogue that no one can understand. Gribble tells Milo that he's in a terrible movie and it's best to just give up everything right now, until Milo sees his mother on a television screen. Gribble immediately tries hiding this from him because the Martians are gonna kill his mom. Milo's a bit slow to the punch though, so he won't realize this until about 15 minutes in. Instead, Milo stops Gribble from being incompetent and useless and gets him to tell him the Martians' plan.
Fact is, Mars needs moms.
Hey, Bob, do you think that would make a good title for this movie? What? No. That's the most stupid thing that I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it sounds like a parody of the plot we're doing. Wait a minute. We're supposed to be taking this seriously? Oh my fucking god. You know what? That's it. I quit. But in all seriousness, we see the plan here. Every 25 years, baby Martians pop out of the ground because the target audience is too old to believe in the stork, but not quite old enough to know about reproduction yet.
And, the Martians, they're terrible at mothering. Which is ironic, really, since the ones running the place upstairs, they're all female.
Dude, that's not irony. Parenting and leading are two different skills. If you treat your soldiers like children, or vice versa, you're not good at your job. So that's not irony. So the Martian girls get a nanny robot that can only be used once because this genius super society cannot improve its technology in any way at all. Instead, they need to do this convoluted bullshit where they take a mother from Earth and steal her brain to power the robots. Are you sure that they're playing this straight? I mean, this was a cliche in the 1950s in cheesy B movies. Not only is playing this straight completely stupid, but it's cliched beyond all belief.
Find someone who is really good at controlling their own kid.
Oh, my life would be so much better if I didn't have a mom at all.
Yeah, apparently the Martians only look for a fraction of a second. So kids, it's best not to take any chances. If you listen to your parents at all, for any reason, the Martians will think that they're good parents and take them away, kill them, and put their brains in a robot. You need to disobey them for their own protection. Wait until we get to the real moral of this movie. Milo wants to save his mother, so Gribble gives him a wristwatch that counts down to sunrise. You realize that your audience isn't Martians, right? The hardest part of science fiction is conveying these alien ideas and concepts to the audience. So, let me give you a hint on what to do here. It really helps to try. Gribble comes up with a plan that's most likely going to get Milo killed. I know I said I wouldn't complain too much about the animation, but no close-ups, please. So here's Gribble's plan. Let the Martians chase and scare Milo to the point he doesn't care about his mother's dying anymore. Number 1, that's stupid. Number 2, that's horrible. And number 3, Gribble of all people should know why this plan won't work. For what it's worth about this movie, the set pieces are pretty damn impressive. They almost look like something out of Star Wars. During this time that is mostly filler, they try to explain some concepts about the world, but they could have been done at literally any time. And some of them were done earlier. As such, I'm not going to tell you about any of them here. We've seen most of this before. Since Gribble is an idiot, his plan backfired, and now Milo is in huge trouble. And as such, Milo does what he does best. He runs around some hallways. I mean, there is a lot of running in this movie. Half the time, I feel like I'm playing a David Cage video game.
Tell me which way.
Oh, did you just call me an idiot?
Which way? I'm lost here.
No. I think that you have to apologize now. I'm waiting.
All right, I'm sorry.
Milo hides in a closet and Gribble gets captured. Milo ends up being covered in one of those colorful graffiti tags. Pointing it out for the second time earlier was completely pointless. Then we get to the most annoying character in the whole movie. What you need to know is that this character learned how to speak English by watching television from the 60s.
They were tracking me? I was talking to Gribble.
I just realized that Milo's dialogue isn't much better. For the whole movie, all he does is state the fucking obvious. That's 90% of his dialogue when he gets to Mars. We have a character who tells us only what we already should know. A character with outdated slang from the 80s, and a character with outdated slang from the 60s. When you use outdated slang by accident, it's awkward and annoying. When you do it on purpose, it's awkward and annoying. That's why you have characters use outdated slang, to be awkward and annoying. This is not endearing in the slightest. The alien's name is Key, and for some reason she's dressed like Lara Croft.
Okay, you're from Earth, so you must know. What do you turn on? What do you drop out of?
That's English. Where did you learn English?
If that's your idea of English, I must be the fucking Martian here.
Wait, no, but I saw inside her headspace. You said my life would be so much better if I didn't have a mom at all.
And the Martians kidnapped her because she instills obedience. And they're still gonna kill her for that obedience that they just found out doesn't exist. The moral you are trying to teach is not compatible with this story. We fit the moral to the story, not the other way around. Or this is what you get. Once again, Milo begins trying to describe his mother's role. He does it like a 4-year-old.
She looks after me and she tells me what to do. She takes me to Disneyland and
I wonder what he'd be saying if his mother was the one working while his father did all of this, and she still got kidnapped. If you remember correctly, Milo has a father that's still in his life that he's just seemed to have forgotten in this life-changing endeavor.
she hugs me and she She loves me.
That line belongs more to an older man who figured out why the girl at the coffee shop has always been there for him. Not a kid about his parent who is there in his life every single day. Like I said, he's acting 5 years younger than he actually is. Maybe I am playing a David Cage game. You know, where a 10-year-old kid runs away from his parents because he wants a balloon from a cloud, and then decides to run across a busy street for no good reason. Milo runs down a hall and jumps down a trash chute. Haven't we already seen this? Cut! Cut! Hey, I said cut! The scene is over! You can move to the next one! Milo finds out that the Martians have captured Gribble. This would actually be a surprise if they didn't show this earlier. What is it with this movie restating shit? Is it just to fill out the runtime? Is there really that little substance that everything needs to be said twice? If we weren't shown this earlier, we could have been left in suspense, because Key told Milo that there was a tracking device on him that let him figure out where Gribble was. Restating information like this kills tension. Milo finds a time capsule with a bunch of Gribble's things. He was originally known as George Gribble, and was in the same position that Milo is in now. So, tell me, Gribble, I know you're in a hard spot right now, but can you please explain to me this? Did being chased down by Martians make you completely forget and not care about them killing your mother, like what you planned for Milo? For how often they restate information, they sure let a lot of little oversights like that slip through the cracks. Milo saves a pet thing that only got 2 minutes of screen time, and it shows that Gribble has been taken off to a firing squad. Here's my point. If Milo knows what something like a firing squad is, he's mature enough to be a lot quicker to the punch when it comes to something like the concept of love. There's having a hard time explaining it, and then there's being emotionally stupid. This movie has no concept of tension. When Gribble is lined up for the firing squad, he's babbling like an idiot. Yes, it's in character, but it's not being used to cultivate the right emotion. Milo comes in out of nowhere because he easily knew how to get to the firing squad with almost no prior knowledge of the Martian facilities, and saves Gribble. Okay, what the holy fuck? Milo has a translator now! And he's in the scene! I can't believe I am saying this, but conveying things to your audience is not optional. Because a gun lands in Key's hand, she's told to pick her nose with it. Look, either you're expecting your audience to be stupid enough to believe that Milo is a believable 10-year-old child, or smart enough to understand what the fuck these guys are talking about without subtitles. There's also discrepancies about Milo's intelligence. He's not smart enough to understand that his mother loves him without babbling like an idiot, but he's smart enough to shoot a hole in the ground under intense pressure, finding the one way to save their asses from this situation. Milo is just whatever the plot needs him to be. He is not a character. He is a walking plot device. I mean, take his zombie fascination from the beginning of the movie. That completely dropped when he got to Mars. And if you're saying that he can't really focus on that during the situation, that wouldn't explain how Gribble still talks about his interests under pressure. And for the record, Gribble is a better written child character than Milo. I don't know how that mistake is even possible. So they all fall into the trash chute. Hey, haven't we seen this before? I think my DVR broke and the movie reset itself. Because the males are all really fun-loving, the females apparently throw them down the garbage chute. Yes, the movie explicitly states this. I'm not inferring anything. Milo and Gribble escape into a sewer that leads them into a river. I guess that Mars rover didn't find all this water that was directly beneath it. Not very eco-friendly Martians, are they, though? When they end up in a very colorful cave, Milo gets Gribble out of his cuffs.
Maniac! These things are dangerous! Tried to blow up some trash once with one of these, almost took my foot off. Yes!
And then Milo tells Gribble his real name to get him to actually do something. I just realized, so far, the only thing that Gribble has done, plot relevant, is gotten Milo to go down the trash chute for the first time. And possibly the third time. Other than that, he got Milo to run around pointlessly for 10 minutes and then got kidnapped. Apparently, Gribble was a good kid. He did everything that he was told.
Turns out that's exactly why they chose her. Because of me. What kind of message is that to send to a little kid, huh?
Are you absolutely 100% sure that this is not a satire of a cheesy, stupid science fiction B-movie? No, it's not. There's too much emotional manipulation for this to be a satire. Repeat after me. What I'm doing is wrong. I know it's wrong, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You know that your movie is giving a bad message, and you're going to teach it anyway. And I don't care about the science fiction stuff, because the moral that we're actually supposed to relate to is arguably worse. Doesn't matter how you slice it, the message is sent, bad things happen when you listen to your parents. Granted, in reality that is sometimes the case, unfortunately, but not enough to have a message this blatant about it, and not anywhere close to this situation. These parents are telling their kids to do chores or clean up their mess, not abusing them or anything like that. Bottom line, Gribble pretty much tells us the plot of the movie because it doesn't have enough filler already. Basically, if we're going through the whole video game analogy, Gribble got the bad ending. And all this time, he was trying to stop Milo from trying to rescue his. What I'm saying is that I don't know what this character's motivations are.
I'll never be able to tell
to tell her you love her. What do you mean?
Come on, man, don't make me give up on humanity. Put two and two together! Key finds them and Gribble tries running away. Key explains herself with outdated 60s slang. And then they run to try to find Milo's mother.
This is the way out.
Is there gonna be a lot of running?
Probably, considering up that takes only half the goddamn movie! No, seriously, half of this movie is just the characters running around! They find a portrait of a happy, normal family, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I will say that the moral of this movie is going for has good ideas and is very optimistic, but it's executed so poorly that it's damn near offensive. Key tells them all that they need to go back to the prison to get to an escape silo, and Key is able to communicate with this because 60s sitcoms used every single word in the English language. And this tells me that Milo was closer to his goal when the movie started than here.
Yes, but, isn't the jail thousands of feet above us?
1,032.
Huh, so almost every country on Earth uses the metric system, but Martians use the English one. Who knew? Look, if you're gonna come up with your own damn language, I'm going to continually hold you to the same standard. Key uses tranquilizers to knock some guards out. Gribble turns off the security cameras, and then frees the male prisoners. We see that the new crop of male Martian babies are being sent down below, but they have no one to take care of them anymore. Guess what happens? No guess. Gribble tells the male Martians to jump down the fucking garbage chute! What the hell is with this movie and the goddamn garbage chute? Do you really have that few ideas of how to get from point A to point B? Milo eventually, and I mean eventually, makes it to the surface, with very little time left. So while Milo's mother is about to die, the movie shifts its focus to Key and Gribble flirting.
Now that I think about it, key is like a perfect word to start a mention because
I'm halfway expecting to hear an explosion in the background, and this entire movie to be just one elaborate joke. This is not what you should be focusing on during the climax of the movie. So Milo ends up tripping over the Mars rover that is in clear sight of the sunrise laser thing. The thing that we programmed to explore and analyze Mars apparently isn't seeing what's right in front of it. Why am I complaining? Because it shoots all logic of this movie out the fucking window. Because it shows that the creators did absolutely no research. Because Milo could have easily tripped over a rock. Because the character tripping when they need to run is an overdone cliche. Take your pick.
What dummy left that there?
Oh, I don't know, the NASA scientists that spent millions of dollars to learn about what the fuck's on Mars. Milo almost falls into a crevice, and he can't communicate with anyone. God, does this movie really need that much padding? These direct-to-DVD dealies usually only need to be about an hour. Oh yeah, someone thought this was good enough to be put in theaters. I weep for that man's job. Milo is about to fall in the hole, but Gribble comes out of nowhere and saves him. Then he uses a jetpack that came out of nowhere. This gets him spotted by the Martians he said would not spot them. Milo and Gribble make it, but it seems like breaking Milo's mom off the table isn't going to be easy. They still didn't give her anesthetic. They're about to kill her, it pretty much requires her being asleep, but they didn't give her any anesthetic. And she's still sleeping. What the hell? She must be the deepest sleeper in the fucking galaxy. Gribble decides to hurt himself, getting Key to exclaim his name. This was the code word to activate the rocket that is supposed to take Milo home. Milo saves his mother, shit blows up, and the male Martians escape through the garbage chutes. This causes chaos, and then we have a bunch of naked alien babies running around wreaking havoc. Who comes up with this stuff?
Did you just pull me out of bed?
Awesome line read there. No, really. That was the funniest thing in this whole damn movie. As Milo and his mother are running to the ship, I noticed the music from this sounds like it's ripped straight from Atlantis or Treasure Planet. Much better movies to come out of Disney. The supervisor comes out and shoots at Milo. Since Gribble tackles her, it only hits Milo's foot. Okay. Stop. Earlier, Gribble explicitly states that one of these lasers nearly tore off his foot. And that's when he was shooting garbage from a distance. He seemed fairly serious about it too. Plain and simple, if you want this laser to hit Milo's foot, he shouldn't have a foot anymore. Then we get that scene. You know the one where everything is quiet to let the emotions sink in or something. The movie wants me to feel emotion for a soulless, stupid puppet with a magic foot. This silence scene is becoming incredibly, incredibly pretentious, if it's not already. And this movie is not one that should be pretentious. Milo's mother gives him her helmet. The dipshit finally figured out what love really is. Look, for some reason, this doesn't resonate as strongly with me as something like Simba crying over Mufasa's death. Number one, Simba actually had a strong personality. Number two, you could easily see the connection between the two. This movie wasted so much time that it could have used for Milo to be talking about home memories, or maybe having flashbacks, or something that could show their lives together. Instead, we got him acting like an asshole and him running around. Number three, saving Milo's mother was the point of the movie. Disney may have a lot of sad moments in their movies, but they are never going to have a sad ending. At least not for the main characters. I know that Milo's mother is going to survive, and because she does, it's forcing emotions. I do not approve of forcing my emotions. The most insulting thing about this, though, is probably how Milo's mother survives. Gribble runs after her and figures out the exact place he dropped his mother's helmet on the barren Martian landscape after hiding for 25 fucking years. And after 25 years of being exposed to the elements on Mars, it still works just as intended. There's not a chip or a crack. It's just a bit dirty. And just a bit, not entirely dirty, so she could still see through it. Key drives like a dipshit, and everyone runs into the supervisor.
It's not over. You will surrender.
Why are you using a translator now? How are you using a translator now? I mean, back during the shooting squad, Milo apparently didn't have the translator anymore.
Silence! You cannot stop this. This is the way it has always been.
I don't think that this is the kind of movie that should be talking about the dangers of following tradition when they become counterintuitive. This movie is not smart enough for that. Key shows them all a photo of the happy family.
We were not meant to being raised by machines. We were meant to being raised by families.
Yes, parents, you are horrible people for putting this DVD in and getting the television to raise your children instead. This movie is very preoccupied in throwing stones right now.
You fool! I saved you! Before any of you were even born, I realized we do not have time to raise hatchlings.
Because there is no feasible way anyone can raise children and have a job at the same time.
And the males? They never helped. Always dancing and playing.
Because if one of your parents does nothing but play games all day, they are doing their job as a parent 100% correctly. One thing this movie does not seem to understand is that not everyone has the luxury of having two parents. And it knows that this is a misstep. Whether or not the situation they propose is ideal is situational as well. There are some families in such a position where both parents have to work to support the family. This movie came out in 2011. The economy was jacked back then, and it still kind of is. Would a family be happier if only one parent was working but they were much poorer as a result? I don't know. It's not my call. And it's not this movie's call either. It's for individual people and individual families to figure out for themselves. In fact, I'm pretty sure they realized how poorly they constructed the moral of this movie. The first time that I watched this movie until the end, I thought that Milo's mother was a single parent. They mention his father once at the beginning, and we see him very briefly at the end. I'm pretty sure that in previous drafts, Milo's mother was a single mother. Gribble had a single mother, and they run through the exact same plot. And Milo does not mention his father once during this whole endeavor. I know it's not exactly priority, but during something this intense, he should mention his father at some point. You know, if he was talking about the good times with his family. Especially if this movie is espousing the value that having two parents is the absolute only way to raise a child. I'm not saying that you should go out of your way to be a single parent. That's stupid. Ideally, you should find a partner that you're happy with and start having kids then. But life isn't ideal. Yeah, you can usually let Disney slide with this kind of stuff, but they're dealing with an adult issue here. I don't understand why a kid's movie is teaching a moral about parenting. I really don't. Imagine if you're a kid watching this, being raised by a single mother because his birth father is a crackhead. There is no one-size-fits-all way to raise a family, because each family and each family situation is different, and making blanket statements like this movie does can come across as incredibly offensive. Goddamn this movie. Everything about it just fails. Looking past the animation, the plot is stupid and nonsensical. The characters are either horrible, stupid, annoying, or flat. I don't even want to talk about this one anymore. On the flip side, join me next time when I talk about overpopulation and a television show that's trying to give parenting advice to kids.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. Come on, Scooby-Doo, I see you, pretending you got a sliver. You're not fooling me, 'cause I can see